Hi all, Wolf Lord Rho here. Today we continue our Primarchs Where Is series with Where Is Rogal Dorn, Primarch of the Imperial Fists. So, general spoiler warning today, we're obviously going to be covering the events of the Heresy and the Scouring, as much as we know of it at the moment at least. Obviously that will be suspect to change when the Scouring series starts appearing from Black Library. But with that said, let's jump straight in. So where was Rogal Dorn at the end of the Heresy? Well, for that, we need to go back to Horus Lupercal's crowning of Warmaster at the end of the Ulanor Crusade. As we know, the Emperor was leaving the Crusade in the hands of his sons for the first time ever. Since the very first Crusade ship departed from Terra, the Emperor had always been in control. Now, while of course hindsight gives us the benefit of saying that it was a mistake for him to return to Terra, in reality, you would expect the Great Crusade to continue rolling along nicely without the presence of the Emperor. The reason for the Emperor's return to Terra was to work on the final piece of his grand plan, the conquering of the Webway, with the Webway project, and it was Rogal Dorn the Emperor chose to accompany him back to Terra, appointing him the Praetorian of Terra and giving him undoubtedly one of the best Primarch nicknames in the process, the Praetorian of Terra. And that's a good one. And Dorn immediately set about fortifying the Imperial Palace, and this certainly caused a ripple of jealousy in a few of his brothers, notably Perturabo. Now, as we know, the events of the Heresy transpired, and it was Rogal Dorn, along with his brothers Sanguinius and Jagatai Khan, who were upon the soils of Terra, defending the palace against Horus and their fallen brothers. Side note, we do have the new update of Vulcan being within the Emperor's throne room now, which is a change to the previous established lore, so it remains to be seen what will happen there. But if you haven't watched my upload on the Vulcan and Dorn reunion on Terra, then be sure to check it out. It's some of the best character writing between the two of the brothers in all of the Heresy. It really is a great little piece. But as the Loyalists defended Terra and Horus enacted his final gambit of lowering the shields on the vengeful spirit, it was Dorn and Sanguinius who accompanied the Emperor to face their brother. And thus it was Dorn who found the dead body of Sanguinius and the broken, dying body of his father, the Emperor. And how on earth are the Black Library authors going to live up to the expectations of this scene? I just don't know. Just imagine the stoic, unbreakable Rogal Dorn finding the most beloved Sanguinius and his father, the Emperor. Oh, he's going to be absolutely devastated, man. As much as I am so excited to read it, I am also so nervous about the whole of this end of the Heresies. We're going to get a true account of the end of the Heresy. God, please don't mess this up, Black Library, please. I have faith, but just don't screw it up, please. And so it was that it was Rogal Dorn himself who carried the broken body of his father back to Terra and took his father's final orders as he was interred upon the Golden Throne. And this absolutely just filled Dorn with grief and also guilt. Whether true or not, Dorn felt the entire Imperium blamed him for the near death of the Emperor, and he actually felt it was right to blame him, that he deserved the blame. He was the Praetorian of Terra. He should have been there at the Emperor's side when he confronted Horus. He should have stopped Horus from breaking the walls of the palace. So we move on into the scouring of the traitors from the Imperium, and Dorn led the Fists on a mighty crusade of vengeance across the Imperium, just letting out his fury at the traitors, ultimately leading his legion into the tragedy of the Iron Cage against his brother Perturabo and his Iron Warriors, where the Imperial Fists nearly faced complete destruction. It was a massive mistake on Dorn's part, only being saved by the intervention of Rabute Guilliman and the entire force of Ultramarines. After this defeat, Dorn finally conceded to Guilliman's demands of breaking the legions into chapters, and a second civil war was averted. But it came very, very close. Dorn was adamantly against the Codex Astartes and the breaking down of the legions. And thus, here we are, at the apparent death of Rogal Dorn. Abaddon and the forces of chaos led a black crusade from the Eye of Terror into the Imperium, rumoured to be the first Black Crusade, but we have no official confirmation in the current lore. And Dorn rushed to the defence of the Imperium as he always would. Heavily outnumbered, Dorn engaged the traitors to allow time for Imperial reinforcements to arrive. Dorn and 3 companies of Imperial Fists mounted a masterful series of boarding actions against the Crusade's warships, crippling drives, life support systems, and even capturing weapons batteries and turning them against other Chaos vessels, or so it is said. Now, there has been a lot of different opinions on what happened to Dorn, and is he really dead? Previous editions of the lore have had different stories. Well, let me read you the current official line on Rogal Dorn's death from the current edition Space Marine Codex. Rogal Dorn is believed to have died whilst fighting a Chaos fleet, and was last reported storming the battleship Sword of Sacrilege. When the Imperial Fists defeated the Chaos fleet, the only trace of their Primarch uncovered by their searches was a single fist. Dorn's skeletal hand was returned to the Phalanx, where over the years it has been scrimshawed with the names of every Imperial Fist chapter master. The hand of Dorn is the Imperial Fist's holiest icon. So we do not have a dead body for Rogal Dorn, just a very on the nose hand. I see what you did there, Games Workshop. Imperial Fists, Dorn's Fist, I get it. However, that does leave us with the possibility of a Rogal Dorn return. And the question is Dorn alive or dead? Well, come on guys, we know he's alive. Any Primarch that is not explicitly dead is alive. There's too much money to be made, and I want them all to return anyway. So look, they're alive, okay? They're alive. The question is, what happened to Dorn aboard the ship? Was he taken prisoner? Now, a very interesting theory I've seen floating around is that Dorn is a prisoner at the hands of his brother Perturabo, and it's the ultimate duel in Perturabo trying to break the ultimate Dorn defense, his mind. Now, that could be a very interesting story, and while I could see them going this route, the problem I have with this is Perturabo, there are now rumours of him being active out in the galaxy once more. And if he had Dorn locked up somewhere, he wouldn't be running off to fight battles somewhere else in the world. In the galaxy, rather. He just wouldn't be doing it. He'd be completely focused on breaking Rogal Dorn. What has Perturabo been up to? Well, him and his Iron Warriors have fought a great battle against Mortarion and the Death Guard in the War of Rust and Ruin, in which Mortarion actually proved the victor. And this is important because this is set after the Great Rift has ripped the galaxy in two. So it's very recent. So if Dorn isn't a prisoner of Perturabo, then where is he? I believe the answer to be simply very similar to nearly all of the Primarch fates, that he is in a realm where time does not matter. We've had the Khan in the Webway, Guilliman was in stasis, the Lion is asleep in some form of stasis, Russ and Korax are within the Eye of Terror, and Vulcan, well, he's a perpetual. So all the Primarchs have this theme running through them to help explain their reappearance in the 40k timeline. So quite simply, I believe Rogal Dorn pursued a great foe into a warp rift when boarding the Sword of Sacrilege. Who that foe was, well, we don't know. It could have been a greater demon, hell, it could have even been Abaddon, or perhaps just a a random Chaos Lord, but considering he lost his hand, you would expect it to be a pretty tough foe. So it has to be either one of his brothers or a greater demon in my mind. There's no way Dorn is going to be happy letting them escape through some kind of portal. He is filled with bringing vengeance to the traitors for what they've done to the Imperium. He believes it's his duty to do this, and he isn't going to think twice about taking the fight to the enemy on their soil. I have no doubt Rogal Dorn is within the Eye of Terror or the warp itself. To him, like many of his brothers, it may feel like only a matter of hours, days, or weeks would have transpired. We know with his Primarch body his wound would have healed. Hell, his hand may well have even grown back. Seriously, it's not impossible for a Primarch to regrow limbs. But I am certain that that is where Dorn is, and that he is not a prisoner. The question is, how will he react upon his return to the Imperium? We know he has a good relationship with Guilliman, or at least he did before their disagreement over the Codex Astartes. But I would expect they would be on pretty good terms at least. Dorn knows that Guilliman is ultimately loyal. He didn't question, should I say, Guilliman's loyalty before, when he hadn't yet reached Terra, and I don't think he would do so now. I think he would be pleased that he wouldn't be alone, that there's another brother still fighting for the Imperium. While they may disagree over tactics, I think Guilliman would also be happy to see Dorn return, and they would work pretty well together. Dorn would absolutely do as Guilliman did and return to Terra for an audience with his father. And I think the Emperor would definitely have some interesting words for the returning Praetorian of Terra. An interesting quick side note here is Vulcan references in the War of the Beast to the Fists that he would mention it to Dorn when he next sees him, leading to a lot of people believing that Vulcan knows where Dorn is. Now, while I think it was more likely just a throwaway line by the author, it would be pretty interesting if Vulcan somehow knew where Dorn was and where he'd been throughout all this time. But that's it for today. What do you guys think? As always, drop your comments down below. I always enjoy reading them. A huge thank you to all my subscribers. Your support really means a lot to me. It really does. And if you're new, then please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. If you enjoyed this particular vid, then why not drop a like on it too. But with that said, I am off, and I'll see you guys again real soon.